Okay, so the first thing I like to do is unpack everything and kind of spread it out so I can see what I got. This is everything right here except for the rail. First thing they wanted you to do is put a header above the door. So I used a 1x6 there, cut it to 72 inches. Now your door may be different than this one, but this is the instructions for this door, which is this National Hardware door that I picked up from Lowe's right here. Okay, so normally you would measure the door height and then to the center of where your 1x6 is going to go, and you would add 1 3/4 so that the center of the 1x6 is the door height plus 1 3/4. And that will allow you to have about 3/8 of an inch at the bottom of the door. All right, next thing you're going to want to do is hold the rail on your line, and normally it would be the center line, but in my case it's not. And make sure that your ends are nice and flush on your header board. Then mark your first hole right here and go ahead and drill a 1/4 inch hole. All right, so I've got one hole drilled up in the header there, and I need to put this spacer on like this so that the wide end of the spacer goes to the wood. I've got a washer here. And what you want to do is you want to get one bolt in this thing first. The end hole is elongated down there, if you can see that. So you have a little bit of play there to move that up and down. And then that'll be our next hole, and then we'll do the middle 2 holes after we get it level. Okay, I've got this thing perfectly level. The end hole is slotted, remember, so you can move it up and down a little bit to get that level. Now I can put my center 2 screws in there, bolts, whatever. Okay, so your bracket should have a template. The instructions say to put it at least 2 inches from the edge of the door, so I've got it about 2 1/4 right there. And this is aligned with the top of the door, and make sure that it's even all the way across so that your holes wind up square. And just pre-drill these holes right here and mark them. That marks the holes, and I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side for the other bracket. All right, so I've already installed the other bracket down there. Just go ahead and drill these holes. The directions call for 7/16 on this one. Now make sure if your door has an in or an out, which way you want it facing to mount the bracket the appropriate way. And also, the kit came with a set of longer bolts and a set of shorter bolts, which was nice because this is actually an exterior door, which is thicker than your normal door. And the short bolts were too short, so it was nice to have the extra long bolts. And just go ahead and tighten it down. The instructions call to install these jump discs right here in the center of the door, at least 2 inches from the bracket, or from the inside edge of the bracket. What this does is it'll keep it from jumping off the track. So I'm just going to screw that down, and I'm going to do the same to the other side. All right, got the door back on there. No big deal. You won't have to do that probably. You'll just be able to pick it up and put it right on the rail. All right, next you're going to want to put your door stops on. This is not adjusted in the place that I want it to be. I'm just putting it there temporarily so that the door doesn't wind up falling off the rail, and I don't have one on the other end. So make sure you put one on both ends just to keep that from happening. And after you get the door stops on, there's a little Allen wrench on the top here. Okay, and by the way, here's these anti-skip guards. The instructions say to put the screw towards the front of the door. That way you can rotate that out of the way to get the door on, and then you rotate it back in place so that it keeps that from jumping off the rail. Next, you're going to want to put these little guides in here, all right? One goes there, and one goes here to guide the other side of the door to hold the door sturdy. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in right there. I'm just going to cut that out with a chisel. The instructions say to do it with a router, but good luck getting a router that close to there. So anyway, Okay, I got both of those guides installed in there. Now I can adjust the door stoppers exactly where I want that to go. Got the door exactly where I want it, and just tighten up the 2 Allen screws on top. And I'll do the same thing to the other door stop. I'll put the door where I want it and then install that. All right, here we have our final install. Our little tracks are there. Now, if these are in concrete, you're not going to be able to sink them down into the concrete, so just make sure your door clearance is high enough so that those don't have to be sunk down into the concrete. And also, if your door stops need to go beyond one of the bolts, all you have to do is take one of the bolts out and pull the spacer out behind the bolt, and then slide your thing over and then put the bolt back and tighten it up over here is all you got to do. So it works really well. It slides good. No problem, right to the stop. All right, so that's all there is to it. It's a fairly simple install. Thanks for watching.